What's good, everybody? It's Jonah. Come back at another video. So this video is going to be words of wisdom and motivation for a lot of people out there, because I know there are many folks who have experienced hardship, who feel as though they've struggled all throughout life and just feel that they're at the bottom. They just feel like they just can't catch a break and they've hit rock bottom. And hopefully this video helps shines a light and bring you hope even in that position, right? The title of the video is this: if you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up. Now, I understand that one of the other options and possibilities is to just remain at the bottom, right? Like you can choose to do that. And I understand that people have, but I am going to give people the benefit of doubt and operate from the expectation, the belief that no one truly wants to remain there, right? There are likely people there are certainly people who've accepted their fate being at the bottom, because they'll say, oh, it's just life. They'll believe that it was just fate and it was all written for them to remain at the bottom, and that they were just, the unfortunate batch of people who were given an unlucky hand at life. And these people have accepted their fate being at the bottom. But I truly believe that no one wants to be there, right? Like if you were given the choice, which everyone is, but if you were given the choice at a snap of a finger to remain where you're at or live life basically receiving what you've been given as far as your birthright of abundance, right? I think everyone, if they had that option at the snap of a finger, would choose abundance, right? I don't think anyone would actively, knowingly, and willingly choose to remain at the bottom if they truly believe that they had the option to win, right? The option to experience an abundant life. So I know there's folks that feel as though they've hit rock bottom at the bottom, but I want to remind you guys that when you're in this position, the only way you can actually go is up. So you do have, even in disaster, even in your worst moments can still be your best moments, because even in your worst moments, you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself and recreate yourself. And people often forget that. People lose so much hope and they'll say, I am where I am. It's a life sentence. There's nothing I can do about it. But you need to understand that where you're at is literally just your set of circumstances. And like all circumstances, they're always subject to change. Your financial situation is simply your set of financial circumstances. And once again, circumstances can change, right? People will lose hope and believe that nothing's going to change. But you need to remember, everyone's go-to example is the lottery. But yes, if you win the lottery, right, then obviously at a snap of a finger, you can go from being broke and not having any money in your pockets to being a multimillionaire. That can happen. So because that is one of the unlimited or infinite possibilities of you striking upon financial abundance, right? That means it is possible. That means there is hope. And yet people would just give up all hope and they'll just say, oh, well, I'm not going to win the lottery, right? So in like during your worst times, that can serve as your best time, because now you have a brand new opportunity. And just people are not aware of it because they've just lost hope, right? Like they just think that they're in the position and there's nothing they can do about it, when there's always something you could do about each and every situation. And each and every situation, whatever problem arises, the problem itself is not bigger than you, because you have the power to be, do, or have anything. You have the power to create. You have the power to create anything you want in your mind. And therefore, if you can create it in your mind, you can create it in this real world, right? That's how creation works, from the inside out. So you have creative gifts. You have divine power within you. And that should be motivating enough to let you know that you are not your circumstances. You are not, the best example that I can give is you are effectively a giant with your head in the clouds, and any and every single problem that arises is the size of a snail, right? You tower over your problems. But for some people, they can go through a problem and they can fixate their attention so much on the problem that they'll begin to think that the problem is a giant and they're the snail, when it's never been that case, right? You can solve any problem that you experience in life, and you can create anything you want in your mind, right? You can create a brand new version of yourself if you wanted to. You can create a brand new product that can help serve other people and help serve the world. You can create something that the world has never seen before, that the world didn't even know it needed, right? That can help move people in the right direction, right? You need to remember, if you're at the bottom, excluding staying there, right? Like, that is a choice. But realistically, if you're at the bottom, if you're at rock bottom, the only way for you to go is up, right? It's time for you to level up. This is now the perfect opportunity. You being at rock bottom, if you're at rock bottom, right? This is the perfect opportunity for you to reinvent yourself. This is the point where you're tired of being tired, where you're tired of being broke, you're tired of feeling all these emotions that you've been feeling nonstop, and you say, you know what? I'm right at the bottom. I got nothing else to lose, right? I might as well just, turn to a new chapter, right? Turn to a new book and begin writing my story the way I want it to be written. Guys, you are so powerful that like words can't even accurately describe what you are capable of, because you can be, do, or have anything. And you have divine power within you, and you're tapped into the same energy that created the world, that created the vast oceans, the mountains, the rainforest, right? All of these big things that we've seen in nature, all of nature, right? That same energy that created nature, you're tapped into that. You share that same energy. So you have the power to make anything you want happen, right? And it may or may not happen at the snap of a finger, right? Like it can happen immediately, or it can take a little bit of time, but that's okay, right? You want to first better yourself, right? Because you can't help yourself if you don't help yourself, right? You need to first better yourself. You need to first start having the right thoughts, start showing up with the right mindset and the right mentality. And you can do that by learning, by growing, by improving. And then from there, that's when you can tackle on everything else, because having the right mentality means you approach situations the correct way, right? Rather than having a problem appear and staring at the problem, right? That's what most people do because they're problem oriented, right? You becoming solution oriented happens when you improve your mindset. So then when a problem arises, you'll say, okay, this happened, this unfolded in my life. Okay, cool. How am I going to approach this moving forward, right? How am I, like, what is the ideal solution, right? You begin thinking differently, so you begin operating differently, so you don't get caught up or hung up on the problem, right? The problem itself doesn't take away all your attention like it used to. You're going to be focused on a solution. And then, right, with the law of opposites, right, there can't be an up without a down, there can't be a hot without a cold. If there's a problem that exists, therefore by law a solution must exist. So you can solve that problem, you can push forward, you can, right? And that's what people often forget. People look at their situation and say, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. That just tells me where their mindset is at. That just tells me that they're problem oriented, that they've given up on themselves, that they just are not aware of their true power and who they are this entire time, who they've been since birth. They're not aware or accept their worthiness. They don't think they're deserving of having it all, right? If other human beings can have it all, why can't you? Why can't you, right? Some people just think that they were just born unlucky. Well, if that's what is your belief, then unless you change that, that's going to remain there. If you believe that you're not good enough, that you're unlucky, then that is the life is going to give you more of your belief, right? Because whatever we train our mind, whatever we condition our mind to, basically our mind is like, we give our mind orders, and our mind does its best to fulfill those orders. So we telling our mind that we're not good enough, then the mind is going to actively look for events to or situations to constantly show us that we're not good enough, right? If we reprogram our minds to think we are good enough, that we are capable, that we have the Midas touch, that we can be, do, or have anything, right? If you program that in your mind, you begin to develop a supreme confidence, because you know that regardless of what comes up, you'll be able to solve that problem. You'll be able to move forward. You'll be able to overcome it. So then you will eventually realize that there's nothing that's actually stopping you from getting to where it is that you want to go and getting what you have. But that all starts with a mindset shift. That all starts with growing and investing in yourself, right? This is what I mean. When you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up. There's plenty of people who they at one point had dreams, right, of, let's say, financial abundance, right, and to live an abundant lifestyle, right? And then people have gotten to that point in life, and then when they got it there, they became fearful, and they became fearful because they were afraid of losing everything that they got. So when they were in a position of being broke, they had all these dreams, and they fell in love with the dream. They wanted all the abundance, right? And then they got it. And then when they got it, rather than remaining focused on the abundance, right, thinking of the next level that they wanted to reach from where they're at, they began approaching it from a risk averse perspective. They were basically operating from fear that they wanted to stay there and they didn't want to lose what they earned. But because they were vibrating fear, because they didn't want to lose all they worked for, they ended up losing all they worked for because of the negative emotion and the fear. And so once they hit rock bottom again and they've lost it all, then that's when, at that point, what are you going to be fearful of? Because you already lost everything. And at that point, that's when this is why you see cases of people who make it all, lose it all, and then make it all again, because once they're at rock bottom, that's when they realize, like, nothing else for me to lose. Let me just go after my dreams. Let me go after what is that I actually want. And so then they're able to build themselves back up to where they once were, right? It's the same idea there. When you're at the bottom, right? For some people, that's what it doesn't need to require you hitting rock bottom, but for some people, it requires them to hit rock bottom so then they can, like, finally get what it is that they want, because then when they're at rock bottom, they don't focus on anything but what it is that they actually want, right? Some people, unfortunately, when they're at rock bottom, they focus on themselves being at rock bottom, and you remember, like, that's not helping you, that's not serving you, right? Each and every one of us, I know deep down, wants the best for us. Like, no one wants to see themselves struggle, no one wants to see themselves sad, right? And so you want to begin doing what's best for you. You want to begin finding ways to uplift your spirit. You want to begin even dream building, right? Because sometimes, I understand how sometimes dream building can make people feel bad, because they can look at where they want to live and where they want to be in life, and then they'll think, I can never do that, or I'm so far from that, how can this ever happen? But when you're dream building, right, you need to think less about that, right? Oftentimes, we as human, we get so caught up with the how. We get so caught up with, like, how society was constructed, that, like, in order for us to own this home, that we need to have the money. It's like, that's, in most cases, logically, yes, but that's not each and every case, right? But we as human, we always want to operate logically, and that's not always the way to get somewhere, right? Sometimes things will unfold in your life where logic can't explain, but it does, right? So even when it comes to dream building, right, just dream of what it is that you want, dream of what makes you happy, and worry less about the how, worry less. Like, if I'm looking at home, dream home, for me, I don't care about the price tag. And if I look at the price tag, I laugh, and I tell myself, oh, it's only this price, like, only a couple commas, like, who cares? Like, that's not even that, right? Like that's chump change, right? Even if right now, I may not have the finances to get it, but I don't care about that, because I'm like, yo, when the time comes, if this is the home I want, this is the home I want. It is what it is. Like, I'm not going to be worried about anything else. And when the time comes, the price tag or whatever is, like, that is going to settle itself. Who cares, right? That's how you need to approach life. It's like, I want this, and the details that surround it, like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but who cares, right? But this is what I want, and so I'm going to focus on this, right? It's the same idea there. And this is why, like, this is why you can still feel blessed regardless of your situation, because even in the quote unquote bad situation, the contrast, being in rock bottom, you still have the opportunity to become someone great, right? In people's toughest moments, that's when you can see what they're actually made of. And that's when you can tap into a whole new side of you, a whole new side of, like, that hunger, that desire that you probably didn't know existed unless you hit rock bottom. So I want this video to serve as motivation for you. If you feel as though you're struggling, I feel as though you've been losing a little bit of hope, just remember that, like, the only way for you to go is up, and that feels good. And I want you to also remember this, right? You have your goals, your dreams, where it is that you want to be in life. The journey to where it is that you want to be, right? To say point Z, your point Z, right? You're at point A, you have a dream, point Z. The journey from where you're at point A to point Z is going to be so much sweeter, right? you are going to have so much more fun. You're going to enjoy it so much because it is going to mean everything to you. And you're going to appreciate every step of the way, and you won't take anything for granted, right? Don't ask for life or the journey of life to be easier. Ask for you to be better. Ask for you to get better. Because if you're just praying for life to be easier, you just want to be comfortable and remain in the same spot. But even if you're praying for things to be easier, there might be times where there's bumps on the road. And if you've never gotten better, you might, if you've always folded, right, you might fold again for future obstacles, right? If you pray to get better and strive to get better, then it no longer matters what life throws at you, because now you're better. Now you've become the giant, and you're looking down at all your problems as they're snails, right? And it doesn't matter what new problem arises, because it's just another snail. That's how you need to see yourself. You need to see yourself as this great, powerful creature that you can be, do, or have anything, that you can create and accomplish anything, right? When you're at the bottom, of course, you can stay at the bottom, but I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt that, like, if someone's at the bottom, they don't want to be there, right? That they wouldn't actively choose to be there, right? And so because of that, the only way for you to go is up. And knowing that, that means you have a golden opportunity to become someone you've never been before, in order to have something that you never had before and go somewhere you've never gone before. And then when you do get there, when you do have these things that you want, you will eventually realize that it's never been about those things. That it's actually been about the person you've had to become in order to get there. And that is what you're going to appreciate the most. The level of growth that was required, and the new person that you become, the person that you can be proud about. You can showcase that to yourself each and every day, and showcase that to the world. So I just leave you with this. Remember, if you're at rock bottom, only way for you to go is up. So that rest of the video. Enjoy the video. So that rest of the video. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe, as you're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.